Hey, Gary Cox here, the Alaska Real Estate King. Hey, if I don't tell them, who's going to? Sorry for the interruption. You know, sometimes I put my cheek on this saying it's nice and cool, reminds me of when people loved me. This is my Denali Award for 2022, being the #1 selling agent in the state of Alaska as an individual. Quite proud of that. It's called the Denali Club. Denali is the name of the highest peak in North America. There was a time when we called it Mount McKinley, and I had to do some research today. I found out that we called it McKinley since about 1910, and then sometime in the 70s or 80s, I lived here, and I remember the battle going on. I don't remember a clamoring for us to change the name to Denali, but I remember the legislature was trying to do that, so we ended up with the name of the highest peak in America is now called Denali. I'm old school. I still call it Mount McKinley, so for whatever that's worth. Hey, I'm here to talk to you about things you should know before moving to Anchorage. And it's a big move to come, and just let me tell you, the first thing you should know, your families will never see you again. And I say that kind of with a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but when my family moved here in 1965, my grandparents thought they would never see my dad again, or the grandkids ever again. As it turned out, we go back and forth like it's Oregon to Washington State. It's just we go back and forth on a regular basis. You'll see your family again, but it seems like you're living on the other side of the world. What I will tell you is that every trip from Alaska starts with it's a 2,000 mile trip to get to your first airport stop. If you're going to go to Asia, you got to fly to Seattle. If you're going to fly to Madrid or Paris, you got to go to Seattle. If you're going to go to Dallas, you got to go to Seattle. It's so every trip starts with a 3.5 hour flight starter to get to where you want to go. So in that regard, it's not easy to travel. You got the expense of getting from Anchorage to Seattle, and then your vacation starts at that point in time. So that's something you need to know before you move up here. Also, if you're going to move to Anchorage, as I said in one of my other videos, Alaska is a 90-minute drive away. So you're going to see in Anchorage, you'll see moose, and you'll see fox, porcupine, wolverines. You'll see black bears and brown bears. And you can even fish for silver and king salmon right in the heart of the city. But truthfully, Alaska is well outside of Anchorage. We live in a city here that's being infiltrated by wildlife, but we're in a city, and so to get to the real Alaska experience, you're gonna have to drive 90 miles. Right now is a good time for me to talk about the relocation guide. If you'd like one, click on the link below. It should be the first comment there. I've created a relocation guide, talks about employment opportunities, housing, activities that you can do in Anchorage. So it's 100% free. Just sign up and we'll send you one. It's kind of strange. I've lived here my whole life. Anchorage is a coastal city. Being on the coast is what gives us our moderate climate. We're not cold like Fairbanks. Fairbanks will be 50, 60 below zero for a couple of months on end nearly every year. It's in the 30 to 40 below zero. We will see temperatures that run from 15 degrees to 40 degrees kind of throughout the winter. It's kind of a wet, temperate climate here. That's because we live on Cook Inlet, which connects us to the Pacific Ocean. The funny thing is while we're a coastal city, I've never felt like I live in a coastal city. So if you go down to our small boat harbor, there's 3 or 4 boats. It's because the water that's coming in, we have one of the highest tides in North America. The second highest tide in North America runs about 30 feet, can run as much as 40 feet between high and low tide. The water's very silty. There's treacherous tides moving in and out. In fact, it's a big enough tide it creates a bore. Sometimes you'll see surfers getting on there and riding that tide on through to Turnagain Arm, which is a place just down a little bit south of it here, connected to Anchorage. But the water is very silty. It's very brown. It's not an attractive ocean environment. So we just don't really, Anchorage just doesn't feel like a coastal city, even though we're right on the water. The other thing you should know about living in Alaska, living in Anchorage, you need 9 coats. You need your nice coats, you need your daily use coat, and you need your dirty coats. And you need all 3 of those in at least 3 different weights. You need your cool coat, your cold coat, and your very cold coat for nice, for daily use, and for your dirty use. So you're going to have closets full of coats and full of boots and shoes that are going to be depending on the weather that's going on. I think Alaska and Anchorage is a great place to raise a family and to live and work. My family moved here in 1965, came up for a 2-year trial, and here we are. We're nearly 60 years later, and we're still here. So great place to live and work. You get a sense of being, you get your individual life. It's not like it used to be where everybody in Anchorage was from somebody else, from somewhere else. It was from the 60s to the 80s. A lot of people were migrating into Anchorage and Alaska in general. But now a lot of people were born here. The younger people were born here, but almost everybody from Anchorage was from somewhere else. So once you move here, don't plan on ever leaving. Even if you do, the chances are pretty good you'll come back. So it's a great place to live, great place to raise your family, great place to live a good, solid middle-class life with just middle-class regular jobs. So if you want to work hard, it will reward you well. And so with that, let's see you on the next one. You can contact me at alaskarealestateking.com. Gary Cox is my name, 907-727-4279. Hope to see you soon. Thanks.